Typical Boro stays at home for a change as Boro actually converted some really ruthless quality opportunities into a significantly important 3 points. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Boro, the reviewing show where, of course, we review every single Boro game here on the channel, on YouTube, and on the podcast providers. And thankfully, we're here to review a win for Boro in a game that, as I said in my preview video, and I've said multiple times, was a must-win for Boro, just within the context of where we're at this season. And just as I said, it's the way the Boro cycle has been going this season. It just continues to go around. When we need a result, we pull one out of the bag and drag ourselves to the brink of the playoffs, and that's exactly what we've done once again. So I'm not getting carried away. I'm not getting overly excited. It's all about whether we can build on this now, because that's something we've not been able to do at all this season, is build on a positive result and actually put together a good run. But judging the result as what it is in isolation, it's the exact result we needed. Plenty of goals, both strikers on the score sheet, and ruthlessness in front of goal, which we've been craving out for. We have started to see a little bit more often, but this was an average performance, really, but we produced 4 quality moments, really, and we took pretty much a goal from every single one of them, and that's the opposite of what we've seen this season. You know, many times this season, Boro have produced quality moments after quality moments, but fluffed the final piece and been sucker blown at the other end. So I'm absolutely going to take a performance where on another day we probably wouldn't score 4. On another day against a better opposition, we might not have even won this game, but I'm going to absolutely take Boro maybe overperforming in front of goal, taking their real quality chances when they come, and coming over 3 points, because that's all that matters. That's all that matters at this point where we're at. Performances are a bonus. Any positives from the performances are a bonus. The result is absolutely paramount, and thankfully we got ourselves a positive one, and I think you could kind of see that we had more of a chance of doing that with the starting lineup. We saw Doak come back in after being rested at the weekend. We saw the front 4 that I was, asking for in the preview, what is by far the best front 4 that Boro can produce at the moment. It was pretty much the team I expected it to be, barring Luke Ayling playing for Anthony Dijksteel. But yeah, Boro did not hand QPR their first win in 9. We did not hand QPR their first home win of the season. We actually went and got the job done relatively drama-free. I'm not going to say completely drama-free. So let's get into the game then, because quite honestly, up until Boro's opening goal, the first half an hour wasn't a great game by either side, and it was looking like a really poor game. I don't think Boro started the game very well at all. QPR were okay, and I'll talk about QPR because I know I'll obviously discuss them more in my general championship roundup videos, but Jesus Christ, if I'm a QPR fan, I am worried seeing that performance there tonight. But yeah, neither side was all that good in the first half an hour. It was a very scrappy, bitty game. Both teams pretty poor in possession. Boro were really bad in possession at times. We were really sloppy. We were giving the ball away. There was no tempo or rhythm to our play. It was very stop-starty, disjointed. We didn't start the game well at all, to be honest with you. And the commentators actually mentioned that we might be in for a 0-0, just given how poor both sides' shot conversion is, which is something I alluded to in the preview show, and I was sort of thinking that as well. I thought, Jesus, if this game doesn't get going, we might be in for just 2 really poor sides, and 2 really poor sides maybe just being unable to put the ball in the back of the net. But thankfully, Boro did what they've done under Carrick in the past. We have a brief spurt of quality which come from absolutely nowhere, and like that, bang bang, we put the game away from the opposition. It's something we did very, very well under Carrick almost every week in the playoff season, and we see it from time to time. Thankfully, we did it here, and it was kick-started by the spark that is Ben Doak. honestly. Having him back in the team, it makes the world of difference for Boro. We are just a different level, a different team when he's on the pitch. He gives their defenders so much more to worry about. They're doubling up on him, so that hinders their left-hand side going forwards because they're more worried about defending against Ben Doak. He was an absolute menace, and once again, levels above, really. And for much of the first half, everything we were trying to do attacking-wise was going through him. And again, he produced a beautiful moment of skill on the right-hand side, getting to the byline, putting in a ball, and out of nowhere, really, Riley McGree floats into the box. Does really well, to be honest, just to sort of get anything on it, direct it in towards goal, and it finds its way into the back of the net. And out of absolutely nothing, Boro have the lead. And I wouldn't say we deserved it. We sort of edged possession, but there was no quality between either side. But we edged ourselves in front, and then out of the blue, Boro are in business, and we've clicked. And the switch has been flicked because the second goal, only 4 minutes later, was absolutely outstanding from Boro. You know, all of a sudden, players who couldn't play a 5-yard pass 5 minutes earlier are playing absolute beautiful, perfect passes from back to front. It sums us up, really. But Luke Ayling, who hadn't had a good start, I'll be honest, he had a very shaky start with quite poor passing at times, played a fantastic ball down the right-hand channel. Got to say, from a QPR defensive point of view, it's not great defending whatsoever. How Azaz is allowed to float between their left back and left centre back is criminal, to be honest with you, but he's played down the side, and I've got to tell you, Finn Azaz and that cross was absolutely world class. You know, the direction of it, where he places it, it had to be in that exact position, that exact line between defence and goalkeeper. The pace of it could not be any more perfect either. It is an outstanding assist from Finn Azaz, and it shows exactly what he can do at his creative best. And Tommy Conway, vintage number 9 really, on the shoulder of the defender, is there to tap it home, and that's Tommy Conway's 5th goal, and he's ticking along quite nicely, Tommy Conway. I'm really liking him, to be honest. His work rate's outstanding, and he is getting his rewards, I would say, and it was a great run. But yeah, the ball from back to front, Ayling through to Azaz. Azaz's ball across was amazing. Tommy Conway is there to put us 2-0 up. And it's a good job, because one thing I will say, and this is probably the biggest positive to come from QPR's performance, is their reaction for the rest of the first half was really good. They actually had Boro somewhat on the ropes after that for the final 10 minutes of the first half, and they forced Seny Dieng into a number of saves, and albeit they weren't world-class saves, they were saves he had to make. They were decent saves. Saves you maybe wouldn't expect a goalkeeper to make, who is maybe in the form of Seny Dieng, you know, who's seen a lot of shots fly past him. You know, he's up against his old club. His confidence might be a bit low. There's been questions asked of him, but he stepped up in this 10-minute spell and made a number of pretty big saves given the context of the game. And QPR really got on top at this point. It was their best spell of the game. From open play, they were still, you know, pretty blunt. You know, sort of what I'd expect from a team who've scored as little as they have. But from set pieces, from crosses, from throw-ins, they were effective. You know, they were chucking big Jimmy Dunn up there, who was an absolute nightmare, winning the first contact on numerous crosses, corners. You know, they were getting flick-ons and forcing Dieng into saves. Low cross across the box. I think Madsen, it might have been, had a shot that was saved by Dieng, turned around the post. That was a good spell, and maybe a vital one in the end, because Seny Dieng did keep them out, and Boro got to half-time with a 2-0 lead. But obviously, given recent results, Watford, Norwich, I was by no means comfortable at 2-0, and I was still extremely worried one QPR goal could turn the game. Obviously, at Watford, we got all the way up to the 75th minute, near enough, with a lead before we blew that and lost. We had a 3-1 lead against Norwich in the second half. We blew that and drew. On another day, might have lost. So that was still lingering in the back of my mind massively. You know, Boro still need a third to kill this game off, and I thought this is going to be a test of the two big things we've criticised Boro and Michael Carrick of lately, and that's in-game management and substitutions. And I'm going to be honest, it nearly went the same way that it has done in recent weeks. And maybe against a better team, it still could have. Because QPR did get themselves a goal back. I would say the second half was relatively even. I wouldn't say we particularly peppered their goal second half. Ben Doak sort of tired. He wasn't in the game as much second half. They swapped someone out at left back to deal with him. We did a better job, and I think you could sort of tell without Ben Doak as that outlet in the second half as much, we weren't as effective going forward. But QPR did get themselves a goal back, and of course it come from a set piece flicked on at the front post by, I think, Jimmy Dunn, that massive old lump who was a nightmare. Flicked it on. Steve Cook was at the back post, and he gets something on it. It ricochets off Dijksteel's shin and goes into the bottom corner, and the alarm bells started ringing big time for me at that point. I basically was just that GTA San Andreas meme where he just says,
"Oh, here we go again."
And I think everyone within Boro fandom thought exactly the same thing. We saw it at Norwich, we've seen it at Watford. We know one of our big weaknesses is in-game management. I'll be completely honest, I was expecting us to fold. I was preparing myself for the inevitable QPR equaliser, and there were a few hairy moments, where Boro would lose the ball, play a hospital ball out from the back, and as I say, on another day, and this is completely hypothetical, but on another day, a better attacking side, a more potent, prolific attacking side, might have punished Boro within this spell, and we might have saw another Norwich, we might have saw another Watford. So, performance-wise, second half, Boro still, I wouldn't say were managing the game all that well. We were still putting ourselves in really difficult, awkward passes. At times, I thought we were trying our best to sort of self-sabotage ourselves. And yeah, on another day, the same old thing could have happened again. But thankfully for us, it didn't. And we wrapped the game up, thank God. I've never been more relieved to see a third goal go in, and it was Lath off the bench for Tommy Conway. And I tell you what, this is the most Lath goal I think I've ever seen. I've got to credit Riley McGree's pass here, like the Azaz pass. It's just unbelievable skill. As I said at the start, another piece of quality plucked out of the sky from one of Boro's attackers, which is what you'd expect from Boro's attackers. We know how good individually these footballers are that we have, and one thing they've maybe not done this season enough are produce big moments of quality in games when we've needed. And as I say, although the performance was far from solid, far from convincing, we weren't in control of the game second half, I would say. Riley McGree produces just an unbelievable, reverse pass in behind. How he knows where Lath is, how he plays that pass, I just don't know. It's again, world-class from Riley McGree. But Lath's done exactly what you'd hope from him. Coming on late on in a game, he's running in behind, getting in behind their defence. And what happens afterwards is trademark Lath. Because when he was running in on goal, 1v1, every time I recall ever seeing Lath with a 1v1, he's cocked it up. Because whenever he has time to think, we all know, he cocks it up. He's very instinctive. He's best off being instinctive. And there's so many times this nearly goes wrong. But he's played in, he goes around the keeper, his touch is so heavy, he just about keeps it in play, cuts back, sending the goalkeeper and the defender into the back of the net. He then shoots, and he's got the whole goal to aim at, and he shoots directly at the defender, who thankfully is so far into his own net, it's not a problem. But it is the most chaotic, messy, yet brilliant Lath 1v1 I think you'll ever see. But it, thank God, sealed the game and was that huge third goal Boro desperately needed. And then a nice goal to finish off in stoppage time. Dan Barlaser come on and got his first Boro goal. I think he's been here nearly 2 years now. And yeah, a good finish from Barlaser. Again, QPR's defence leaves a lot to be desired here. He's allowed to basically play a 1-2 with one of their players, shape his body in position. He bends it around the defender extremely well, and it's a lovely finish from Dan Barlaser. And that pretty much finishes off the game. 4-1 to Boro. Was it a 4-1 game? No. Boro have created far more and wasted far more this season. And arguably, from minute 1 to minute 90, we've probably played a lot better than that and we've managed to draw, if not lose, at times this season. But as I say, I am not complaining in the slightest. It's refreshing to see Boro probably not put in a great 90 minutes, but for once, the one thing that's let us down a lot this season are quality moments of ruthlessness, being prolific, being important, being deadly. We did that today, and we put 4 goals past the side, who, weren't great. I'm going to be honest, QPR were desperate at times. I think defensively, I was expecting better from them. They were pretty bad defensively, and yeah, going forward, you can absolutely see why they're in the position they're in, and that their only real threat come from throw-in, set pieces, corners. I've seen where QPR are at, and I've maybe thought to myself, they're not as bad, but in seeing them in person, you've got to be a little bit concerned seeing QPR today. They weren't very good whatsoever, apart from the little 10-15 minute spell I had at the end of the first half. But yeah, 3 points on the board for Boro, and that's all that matters really at the end of the day. Now, looking at some of the performances out there, I thought there were some really good ones. Seny Dieng deserves credit because he's had his critics, and rightfully, wrongfully. Some argue a lot of the goals that have gone past him have been no fault of his own. Others say he should have a better, shot save rate than what he does. I'd agree with both. I'm somewhere in the middle. But I thought that spell, end of the first half, that's what you want your goalkeeper to do. When you're under the cosh, when the opposition are starting to put you under pressure, you want your goalkeeper to step up, make some good saves, and it ends up being a crucial period within the game. And Seny stepped up when we needed him to. And I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him because he's had a really sort of bumpy time of late, and I'm hoping that'll do his confidence the world of good. Back four was okay. I thought Luke Ayling grew into the game, played a good part in the second goal, also had to step in at left back second half. So yeah, a good solid performance from Ayling, barring a few dodgy moments to start with. The centre backs were all right. I think they defended relatively well at times. There were often moments where a few square passes across the box were a bit short. We almost played ourselves into trouble a couple of times, Matt Clark more so. And as I say, a better team may have punished us at times today, but in the end they were okay. Neto Borges, again, okay, didn't have his best game, got booked early on and went off second half. Hopefully, it's a precaution and not a big injury, because our options at left back aren't ideal. Central midfield, we had Morris and Howson. I thought Morris, as he always is, he's a solid 7 out of 10 every single week. Reliable, dependable, absolutely outstanding once again. Howson was okay. I think you can absolutely see the gulf in quality between him and Hayden Hackney. I think in them first 20-30 minutes when the game was very bitty and slow, there wasn't much movement or drive or energy in Boro's midfield, and I think that's where Hayden Hackney would have gave us a little bit more life and driven us forward a little bit more. But he was all right, Howson. He did have one really wobbly moment in the first half where he dawdled on the ball in and around the edge of our box, gifted a chance to them, could have on another day been a disaster. So he's the club captain. He's a fantastic player to obviously have around the team. He's not a starter for me. Hayden Hackney definitely comes straight back in, but to come in and do a job, Howson did okay. The front four, though, deserve immense credit. I thought they were fantastic, and there's no question these four have to play if they're fit every single game. There is a worry that we have an over-reliance on McGree and Doak. Absolutely. I don't feel like there's anyone else on either side that comes close. So I am worried that if either of them were to get injured, we could be in a bit of trouble. But today they were all outstanding. Ben Doak, first half, as I say, just levels above anything else we have on the pitch, I think on both sides. He was just an absolute nightmare for their defence. He did tire. That might be some of the fatigue that, so-called put him out of the game against Coventry. He was brought off late on. Wasn't in the second half as much, but certainly played his part in the first. McGree, I thought, was great as well. We're just a better oiled machine when McGree is in the team. Got a goal first half. Outstanding assist second half. McGree just doing what McGree does. And Azaz was absolutely outstanding. Second half especially. First half, his assist in its own deserves immense credit. But some of the touches, some of the turns, some of the passing, some of the movement, Azaz's second half was mesmerising, to be honest with you. There were times in that second half where I just sat back and thought, wow, this is the Finn Azaz we were hoping to get. You know, he's just so technically good on the ball, and I was really happy to see that sort of performance from Finn Azaz. Brilliant. And Tommy Conway, great once again. Ran himself into the ground as he does every single game. Got a goal for his troubles as well. So another solid centre-forward display from him. As for the players off the bench, Dijksteel come on early for Neto Borges, of course. Did all right at right back, you know. Was unlucky with the own goal, I would say, but I thought did well enough. And the other subs come on really late. That was something I was really worried about. You know, Boro were 2-1. I was worried we might be suffering the same sort of self-sabotage, dropping points as we have done over the last couple of games like Norwich and Watford, and I was really worried that Michael Carrick was just leaving his substitutes way too late, as he often does. We didn't make any other substitutes, barring the enforced one for the Borges knock. We didn't make any until the 80th minute. Thankfully, it didn't affect us, and they also had a positive impact with Lath getting on the score sheet and Dan Barlaser as well. One really interesting thing to note as well, Ben Doak was brought off, as he often is, because we're clearly managing his minutes. But Michael Carrick actually opted to not bring on Isaiah Jones, which I found quite eye-opening. Obviously, we all discussed in the Coventry game, Isaiah Jones' cameo off the bench wasn't great. And I've said, you know, if not Jones, I'd rather it be Hamilton, I'd rather it be Bergsorg. Seems Michael Carrick was listening, because instead of bringing on Isaiah Jones in them final few minutes, the final 10 minutes or so, he brought on Michael Hamilton this time, which I found really, really interesting. And he actually swapped them round. So Hamilton was on the left, which is where he seems like he wants to play him. I'd rather keep Hamilton. I'd give him a go on the right, leave McGree on the left. But either way, Hamilton come on the left. He moved McGree onto the right. That's fine with me. McGree is just such a brilliantly dependable and, you know, just fantastically adaptable footballer. He can pretty much play everywhere. You could probably stick him in goal, to be honest with you. Riley McGree, he's just such a special player to have. But I found it interesting that Micah Hamilton was the one who stepped in instead of Isaiah Jones. Quick look at the stats then before we look at the table, and this is what I mean. It's refreshing to see Boro actually clinical and scoring more than we should, instead of scoring way less than we should. An XG of 1.93, it's still really, really solid, really, really good. Still very creative with 12 shots, 8 on target, but to score 4, it's just better going forward from Boro, which is absolutely fantastic. So really, really happy to see Boro overperform in front of goal for a change. And on the balance, yeah, we were the better team. You know, QPR didn't really create much. They had 5 shots on target. As I say, a lot of them were from range, as I sort of discussed in my preview. They do get a lot of shots on target, but none of them are of high quality, so I can completely see why the stats and the data is the way it is for QPR. But many times this season we've seen Boro play like this and find a way to lose. Thankfully today we found a way to win, and in the end, rather emphatically. So looking at the league table then, it's prettier reading for Boro. We are back around that part of the cycle where we're on the edge of getting into the playoffs. So naturally the next step of the typical Boro cycle is we absolutely screw it up at the weekend against Luton when we have one foot in the playoffs and we fall backwards. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But it's all about whether Boro can build on this now. You know, we've been here before. We've been here, we know exactly where Boro are and what needs to happen next, and we just have to look at the fixtures to basically pinpoint exactly where and when we've been in this position before. After the Cardiff game, prior to the international break, right, build on it when we get back. We draw to Preston, lose to Sunderland. After the West Brom game, you're on the brink again of playoffs, build on it. We find a way of losing to Watford, then drop a clanger against Bristol City. We beat Sheffield United. Again, you're thinking, right, we're on the brink of the playoffs. Win at Norwich with 3 points off second. We find a way of dropping 2 points there. We're back here again. 4-1 win, better performance, scoring goals. Luton are up next. Once again, it's a case of build on it. And as I'll say what I've said time and time again, this result will be pretty meaningless like a lot of the others if we don't back this up at home to Luton at the weekend, which will be a tough game, and Boro's home form is a huge debatable topic in the world of Boro right now, because it's the same as last season. You know, looking at the away league table, we're 6th. We're a playoff team away from home once again, like we were last season. In the home league table, though, we're 15th, which is not good. It's nowhere near good enough for a team who wants to get promoted. You know, you've got sides who are unbeaten at home. We've won the majority of the games at home. So, you know, this is by no means a reason to get overly excited. Boro still have to back this up at the weekend against Luton, because if we don't and we drop another shocker, shoot ourselves in the foot, cause our own selves to drop points again, then we're going around in the same cycle and we're heading into a 2-week international break again with a sour taste in our mouth. So we need to ensure we win at home, put in a good display for the home fans to actually be happy about, and then who knows where we'll be if we pick up another 3 points. If we can somehow get into the playoffs at the end of this block of games, I think we've just about salvaged what has been a pretty dire spell at times. You know, I think the Boro can be let off if we can win on Saturday and get ourselves into the playoff places. So we'll see. But I'll be back to preview the Luton game at the weekend. Preview will probably be dropping tomorrow or Thursday, so keep your eyes on that and subscribe for that. But it's another big game where Boro continue to search and salvage for consistency. But a big win here, a good win, a solid win. Wasn't perfect, but for me, the result was all that mattered. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, whether you're a Boro fan, QPR fan, in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed the video, do hit a like and subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss when one drops. And if you would rather listen, or you are already listening to these videos on your chosen podcast provider, then there are links in the description. So go and listen over there. And if you are, do give me a like and a rating and a follow. It would be much appreciated. But until the next one, guys, I'll be back in a few days to round up the midweek round of championship games and preview the game against Luton. So subscribe for that, and I'll see you all then.